What is up, guys? Lone Hawk here today, and welcome back to Overwatch. In today's video, I have something brand new, something special for you all, and it's a brand new meta-defining team composition, a new strategy you guys can be using that's being seen in the pro play right now. This team composition is pretty unlike some things we've seen before. It's a little bit similar to other team compositions, but it has one key difference. The new team composition I'm going to present to you guys has no DPS characters. No assault heroes, and no defense heroes. That's right, it's 3 tanks and 3 supports. Now you may be thinking, whoa, Lone Hawk, that's crazy, your voice just cracked. Well, that's true, and that's also true. However, let me explain. The 3 tanks and the 3 supports composition sounds kind of ridiculous. You don't have a lot of damage. I mean, Roadhog and Zarya can do damage, and they are 2 of the tanks you will be running, and supports don't deal a lot of damage as well. However, Ninjas in Pajamas, a pro Overwatch team, has made it work. Basically, what you do, you have Ana, Zenyatta, and Lucio on support. Ana and Zenyatta both being supports that can actually deal a good amount of damage, and Lucio just being one of the best, if not the best support in the game. And for tanks, you run Reinhardt, Zarya, and maybe Winston or Roadhog. And I say maybe because you could switch between the two, but it's always one of those two. And this team composition, it works. It's crazy. The strategies they use it's nuts. So basically, what you do is your tanks absorb damage, and Ana heals those tanks, mainly Ana, that way she can get her ult very quickly. When Ana then gets her ultimate, she can power up Reinhardt. She can power up the other tanks too. A fully charged Zarya that's been powered up is a real threat. However, Reinhardt is undoubtedly an amazing target for Ana to nano boost. When Ana then nano boosts Reinhardt, if the rest of the team follows up properly, you should be able to get a team wipe on the enemy team. And during this time, you should be able to charge the ultimates of your teammates quite a bit, especially Reinhardt, meaning your team's going to have more ultimates than the enemy team in your next fight. And then, when all ultimates are burned, Ana should have her ultimate again. Basically, you're switching between having an Ana ulted Reinhardt and the rest of your ults on your team to hold the enemy off. You're just relying on ultimates almost entirely, because your damage output isn't very good at medium and longer ranges. Only time will tell if this keeps working in the pro scene, but right now it seems like people don't really know how to counter it. I have yet to see a very successful counter to this strategy, and I guess the only counter would be to run this strategy as well. Both teams running it on a King of the Hill map has happened before. So what does this mean for the game? Should you guys be running it? Is it something that should concern you? Well, let's talk about it. For one, let's talk about what this means for the game. To be honest, it kind of scares me. I've always found the tanks in Overwatch to be very, very powerful, if not the most powerful class, the most influential class in the game, because they have very high amounts of HP, and a lot of them, like Zarya and Roadhog, can still dish out a lot of damage, which makes them just very powerful heroes in general. This scares me because if it becomes the meta, if everybody just starts going immediately to this and starts ignoring the other heroes, Blizzard is going to have to either nerf tanks and supports or buff the DPS and defense heroes, and that's not an easy task to do for Blizzard because tanks and supports make up half of the heroes in Overwatch. They're 2 categories out of 4, so trying to balance all of them in relation to DPS and defense heroes, that's not going to be an easy task. I think that's going to be a lot of work for Blizzard, and it could lead to a very maybe long period of Overwatch where the game is very awkwardly balanced because we had this giant imbalance at one point. So I'm hoping this strategy eventually finds a counter. I don't mind if it's a good strategy. I just really hope it doesn't become the one thing everybody goes to, the best strategy there is. However, I don't think it will be, so there's not too much to be worried about. The next question is, should you be running this composition? Is it worth playing competitive? Is it worth playing in solo queue? I'm going to answer this, the solo queue portion of that question very briefly and say no. In solo queue or in maybe duos or trios, there's not much communication. At higher levels, sure, it can be a thing, no doubt. So if you're up there, if you're, I'd say, diamond or above and you want to try in solo queue, be my guest. Most players up there probably know that, but they're in the minority. Most players in solo queue won't understand the strat, and even if you try to explain it to them in the brief period before a game, it's not really going to work too well. You're going to have someone that's confused, that doesn't know what they're doing. So unless this becomes super, super meta, I wouldn't try running it in solo queue. However, in ranked 6s, or maybe even 5s, depending on how many people you queue with, I think this can work. It's going to take some practice. No doubt it'll take some practice. But if you know what you're doing and you learn about this strategy a little bit more, I do think it can work very well for you. If you're interested in that, I will probably be making a guide on how to run the triple tank, triple support setup if we still keep seeing it in pro play and there isn't a giant counter that's found. It's not too hard, so if you want to know right now, go watch some pro teams that have been doing it, including the one you're watching right now. You can basically see how they run it. I'll make a guide to hopefully, pull out all of the details for you guys to make it easier, but in the meantime, you can go watch those games, see what they do, and just remember, Ana gets her ultimate first, and then that charges up Reinhardt with her nano boost, and then the rest of your team should get their ultimates before the enemy team because you've been stomping on them, and basically you just alternate between Ana's ultimate and the rest of your team's ultimates, and you should have more than the enemy team, and it should allow you to win. One thing I'd like to mention to you all is I now have a public Discord server that I'm on pretty much 24/7, which you can text chat in, you can talk to other subscribers there. It's really just a fun area where you can hang out with other fans and me, so check that out. Link will be in the description. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like down below and tell me what you think of the meta, if it'll be good or bad, or you love it or you hate it. Just tell me your opinions on it down below, and I will see you guys all later. Lone Hawk out.